For today's club preview, we'll discuss the Essendon Bombers. So the Bombers looking good in 2021, and I think they'll have a good 2022. You probably only have to ask their supporters how bullish they are on their players. Parrish has come good. Harry Jones up forward's looking good. We're getting Ben King next year. All right, we get it. Look, Essendon definitely the most obnoxious supporter base, but I do like Essendon, what they're doing. Ben Rutten, one of my favourite players back in the day, doing a really good job coaching them. But the list is looking quite good, so I think they'll finish top 6 with potential to finish top 4. Defence to sound, midfield, they've got a bit more height now with Langford and Stringer can go through there. Draper's improving slowly, just needs a good run with injury, and the forward line, maybe a few question marks on some players, but they're getting Ben King next year, so it's going to be great for them. So yeah, first time in 20 years, I think Essendon have a list that can take them to top 4, which would be good for the club, because they're a proud club and can definitely do better than what they have. But nonetheless, we'll start off with the Supercoach picks, and we'll start off in defence. So the defence, it seems like they use... They have a lot of time in possession in defence, the Bombers. So that's what it seemed like under Rutten in 2021. The three I have here are Ridley, Heppell and Hind. Ridley's the most interesting one. So we'll speak about Ridley first. Obviously, Jake Kelly coming in. I didn't rate Kelly super highly. He's a fairly limited player, but great character and good defender. Ball use is not good at all, so wouldn't want to get him the ball. But does he actually play in Essendon's back 6 or back 7? They'll probably run 7 defenders. I think maybe. I would expect Rutten probably rates him pretty highly, so I think they'll probably bring him in. And that should help Jordan Ridley, so Ridley won't get the jobs like, there are times where he did play on, Toby Green or Papley or stuff like that. Hopefully he won't have those jobs. That'll be assigned to Kelly or somebody else. But yeah, Kelly is versatile. Probably downplayed him a bit, but does that help Ridley scoring? It definitely should help him not have those, 60 or 70 odd games. And I think Ridley, just with natural improvement, he's an amazing player to watch. He's a great interceptor, reads the play probably better than almost anyone I've seen currently right now. So I'm a fan of the Ridley pick, and he's one where if I need to run a 4th or maybe in 5th defender, Ridley will probably be the one that I run there. So look, I'm a fan of the Ridley pick. We have to remember, since Heppell and Hind have joined that back 6, there's a lot of ball to go around, and they can both. Hind just started taking kickouts at the end of the year. Gareth McDonough, I think his name is, so we'll speak about him after, is a good kick. Potentially he could take kickouts, but he might not even play round 1, so that's another story. So I do like Jordan Ridley as a pick, definitely over Heppell and Hind. But yeah, one in high consideration for the starting team. So Dyson Heppell was the other one, probably just a durability issue. But what's interesting is he actually averaged a point higher than Ridley. So one that we all missed last year, didn't play round 1, Heppell. So I think that's probably his ceiling in defence, probably just under 100 or around that mark. Given he's had quite a few injuries, minor ones, but ultimate professional, great character, so just gets it done. But unfortunately, just body lets him down a little bit at times. Yeah, an interesting one, not the worst option, but given the durability, I just see an age. I think he's around 30 now. So Ridley, just objectively, a lot more things going for Ridley than Heppell. And Hind, I think if Hind got more kickouts, he probably would have been All-Australian last year, because I think, you look at Dale and Hind, their numbers are quite similar, but Dale was getting extra 5 kickouts a game, basically. So even more sometimes. So maybe the selectors would have picked Hind over Dale if they realised that Hind's numbers were inflated, Dale's numbers were inflated. But nonetheless, Hind probably averages somewhere in the 90s again. Just the ceiling of a lot of players can score in this back 6. It's not only these 3. Redmond can intercept, have his day. Laverde, even though he's key position, can intercept a fair bit. So, there's just a lot of points to go around, and I think Ridley should go low hundreds. I think given the addition of Jake Kelly. So, if one of them goes, Find or Heppell goes down, maybe that helps Ridley. But you expect all these guys to play most weeks. So no to Hind, but I do love him as a player. So we'll look in the midfield, and I have three names here. I have Zach Merritt, nearly said Jackson Merritt for some reason, Darcy Parish, and Andy McGrath. So we'll start off with Merritt. So I've mentioned this a few times when reviewing my 2021 season. So I started Merritt, worked out okay, 115 average, 22 games, so that's about what we all expected. Unfortunately, Content doesn't win enough contested ball to really push that ceiling above 120. So for me, Merritt is an upgrade target at the right price, but he might not even be top 8 anymore. So still reliable pick in a great age bracket, probably 26, 27, something like that. Durable and been consistent for many, many years. So I do not mind Merritt. He's been in my team almost every year as an upgrade target. It usually drops to around the mid 500s, maybe sometimes a bit lower. Can have the odd 60 game, but yeah, fan of Merritt, but hard no as a starting pick. And next is Darcy Parish, who averaged 114, and what looked like he was going to average 125 at some point, but did drop off towards the end of the year, but picked up again in finals where they had to send Dunkley to tag him because he was going that out of control. With Parish, the issue is they're going to... Essendon will have, you expect in round 1, their midfield will be back to full strength. They'll play probably Cordwell, Stringer might need a bit, should get a bit more time because he was unbelievable there. Maybe they throw Langford in there a little bit when necessary, depending on matchups. Shield's been injured the entire year, so how does he score with all those players back? I'm not too sure. As a few players came back late in the year, I'm not sure if that was a reason for his scoring drop-off, but yeah, he's a clearance machine, which is great. Contested ball clearances, and he has seemed to develop a bit of an outside game where he can take just get the ball all around the ground. So yeah, his ceiling is quite impressive, but it's just not really sure if he hits it. Whereas I feel with other options, reasonably confident in guys like McRae, Steele, Oliver, probably Took as well, should repeat or go close to what they did. So I don't have that trust in Parish as I do in other players. Not saying he's a bad pick, and one you can definitely pick if you want to pick him. But there are slightly more question marks over Parish, and he can't handle a tag at all just yet. So that's another one. So No's a starting pick, but perfectly fine, and wouldn't surprise me if he's top 3 mid over the first few weeks. Just not 100% sure. The next one is Andy McGrath. So he had a few injuries in 2021. His time has been split on a wing at times, so I just don't see it. He needs to go 115. That's probably barely enough, 115. Probably, yeah, maybe 120 odd to be a starting pick, a midfield premium starting pick, I think. So for his price, maybe 115, but I think that's enough on Andy McGrath. There's not really much to discuss here. I'm not sure he has the attributes to be a 120 plus mid, but is a high talent, and we'll get a decent run at it in the preseason. But again, can split his time between the wing and inside. So could even go back, but I doubt it. So I don't see it with McGrath, but one where he's starting to come into his prime now, just like in the same draft. We'll see Taranto and McLuggage. Maybe they can take the next step. It's usually around the 5th, 6th, sometimes 7th year these players start to really hit their peak. So maybe that's where McGrath's at the moment, and we'll see how he goes, because the talent is definitely there. Move on to the Ruckman. Sam Draper's the only name here. He's under 400k, 2 injury prone, and just at that price, things can go sour pretty quick if something goes wrong. Given his durability, it's a definite no, but looks capable, but not sure he's there just yet. Still pretty young as well. So the ruck line is not a line I recommend messing around in. It gets pretty messy when injuries happen there, as you may have known if you saw my 2020 season. So yes, I think it's set and forget and do not regret in the ruck line. But he's had injuries, so maybe with the full preseason he looks a lot better. I'll give him a watch regardless, but not one I'll consider. Just the injury history is too poor. You can say, Sean Darcy's injury history is not great either. That's fair. Don't have to pick Darcy. I will because of his ceiling, and If something goes wrong with the Darcy pick, you trade him to whoever you want, whereas something goes wrong with the Draper pick, you might need 2 trades to fix that. So in the forward line, the only player I have is Jake Stringer. So who would have thought we would be speaking about Stringer and De Goey? They were almost meme picks in 2021 early days, and then halfway through the year, it's like, oh, these guys are for real. So he scored a 180 in 2021. He's very good in the midfield. He's that explosive. You look at his draft profile and you see some of the comments I was reading from AFL Draft Expert was saying, he could be potentially one of the best players in the league, and you can see it. Explosive, strong one-on-one forward, pretty good in the midfield as well, but I'm not sure he can spend enough time there, but he'll play that, I think they call it in Fox Footy, the striker role, where you don't really defend, you don't really go in the D50 too much or at all. You kind of just, after the stoppage, you go straight forward, try and get a one-on-one, but yes, be a forward half midfielder. So, has durability issues, but I think he's slept on a little bit as a pick, and one I'll look at for AFL Fantasy. I'm not sure I want to take the risk in Supercoach because I'm already thinking about Butters and Heaney as well. So the forward line is a bit of a mess. So from what I've seen, he looks really good in preseason. What I've read that, he's training really well. Obviously he had work ethic issues for a while there, but it seems to have got his act together. But yeah, Stringer is 110 average post-buy. It's an interesting one. I don't think I can do it, but if you want to pick Jake Stringer, I'm not going to tell you no. So potential there. Yeah, really fun to watch the package. So moving on to the mid prices, I have Dylan Shiel and Caldwell. So with these 2 players, I'll just have a few names here. So their midfield consists of Merritt, Parrish, McGrath, Stringer, and then Hobbs as well. Maybe if he gets a game, Langford can go through there. And yeah, Shiel and Caldwell as well. So it's tough for spots in the midfield. Shiel might be able to play half forward or wing or something. I'm not exactly sure. I know Ben Rutten said something about they plan to use him more forward in 2021, but because of injuries, didn't really happen. So average 90 plus, even I think 100 plus in previous years, probably 3 or 4 years straight, and just averaged to 70 because of injuries to his PCL. Shiel's ball use is pretty atrocious for the most part, so I don't know what his role is. And at 350k, I think Real's ceiling is slightly better at this stage of their careers anyway. So, but Shiel, he's done it before with a full preseason. There's no reason why he can't go 90 plus again. But for 350k, you're probably asking for 100 minimum, probably 105 actually. So I think at best case, the pick breaks even. And worst case, it just doesn't work. So I don't see enough upside in the pick for the price, but could be a capable scorer of 100 plus, but I doubt it. Just question marks again over the role and a few injuries now, stuff like that. So yeah, pretty packed midfield. Same with Caldwell. So Caldwell had a pretty good preseason in 2021. Looked really impressive, but he did multiple hamstring injuries, and he has a long history of soft tissue injuries. So he had a full preseason in 2021, and we thought, okay, finally he's getting a full run at it. Maybe he won't have these soft tissue injuries anymore. It took 2 or 3 rounds, and bang, hamstrings were gone. So I don't know. He's sort of one where you see the team sheet. It's probably one where he's listed on the bench. So a lot of players should score a lot in the midfield, and I don't think Caldwell. He can score, but it's a matter of fitness and mid-time and stuff like that. So a few question marks. It might be a spot between Caldwell and Hobbs, and probably right now Caldwell should be better, but long term probably like Hobbs a bit more. We'll see how it goes. 280k, 260k, something like that in the midfield. I think Berry seems to be a better option than Caldwell. So the rookies. Zach Reed, 173k defender. I'm not sure he plays. I think they have a pretty set defense back there. I think Stewart and Laverde are key defenders. I'm not sure there's a spot for him. To probably still develop in the VFL, and being a key defender, stats not going to be that great. Now Ben Hobbs, 153k midfielder. Just doing my research on young Hobbs. So he won a best player in a grand final at his local club when he was 15, and the award was Best Player Under 21, and he won it when he was 15. So pretty big unit, and would have been a big unit for a while. In the NAB League, 28 disposals a game, lots of clearances, and I think it was Ben Rutten who said that he has a massive tank. So good with contested ball, massive tank, ready to go body. Ticks a lot of boxes, just needs the opportunity. It'll be hard to fit him in because I'm not sure he can play elsewhere other than mid. That's what I've read in his draft profiles. And do they want to give max minutes to a rookie in the midfield when you got? I don't need to say all the names. We mentioned all the names before, 6, 7 of them. So hopefully he does play. I think Richmond should have taken him in the draft for sure. I thought that was a strange omission, but could be wrong there. So yeah, it seems to tick a fair few boxes, and keep an eye on him in the preseason. Hopefully he can get a game. There could be potential to field him, but given a lot of the Vic boys miss so much football, it's hard to see where they're currently at and how much that has hindered them, because it definitely hindered the 2020 draft crop from Victoria. So one to watch for sure. And the next one, Tom Hurd. So athletic midfielder, is 20 years old now. I think he's played a bit of defence from what I've read, but I'm not 100% sure. Son of James Hurd. One where I don't know how he makes the team. Category B rookie and just been given a 1-year extension. So seems like a fringe player. Need to have a massive preseason. Has put on a bit of weight, which is good. Was pretty skinny when he came to the club, but it's going to be hard for him to find a spot in the team, but entire preseason to go. And the final one is Gareth McDonough, 117k. So elite kick in the draft. I think he applied for the draft 6-7 years ago. Same draft as Jaden Short. So one of the best kicks in the draft, and he can be used on a wing or half back, but it can also be used half forward. So maybe that's where I think there's probably more chance he could find a spot in half forward, just because it's very hard to fit in that defence. And outside on the wings, I think it's Cox, probably Langford as well. Maybe they move Cox around. I'm not really sure what their setup is, but saw them. It was like a training video where they were using him a little bit, just feeding him the ball at training, but it's only training, just a few things to watch. But seems to have a fair bit to work with here, but I'm not quite sure why he went undrafted. But 26 has been described as a star at VFL level. So another thing, his endurance is fantastic, which, probably need that if you want to play wing. So how does he fit in? I'm not sure, but he might be a decent, potentially off-field option. I think Chris Story, AFL draft expert, as I call him, said that he could start taking a kick in straight away, which would be bad for Ridley, I guess. But not too sure. But yeah, I think Hobbs and McDonough definitely two to watch, and Ridley's probably the main one that I'm considering, and Merritt and Parrish, we'll look at them later in the season. So thanks for watching the video, and we'll see you guys soon.